Hi everyone, and welcome to Excel with Mark. Today, I want to show you how to use formulas within Microsoft Excel. So let's jump into it and get started. Here we are in Excel, and I've got a list of formulas that I want to show you how you can use within Excel. If there's one of these that's going to interest you more than the others, just feel free to jump to that part of the video. I've popped all the timestamps for the formulas down in the description below. We're going to start with the basics of add, subtract, multiply and divide. Let's say that we have two numbers within a cell. I have 1 and 1, and I want to add these up. How do I do that? The key to do something in formulas is to always start with the equal sign. So here we're going to pop in the equal sign, and what we could do is say I want 1 plus 1. So we can enter that in, and we're going to see that this shows up in the formula bar just above here. Now, what I can also do instead of typing the numbers into the formula bar, I could also use numbers that are on my spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and delete this part now, and once again we're going to start with the equal sign, but instead of putting 1 plus 1, I'm now going to say I want this value plus the value that's in cell B1. So we're going to take that value there and we're going to add it with this value, and we can add the plus sign in the middle. So now I'm going to show you a few different examples of subtracting, multiplying and dividing. Subtract, you do them the same way as addition. So let's say I want to do 2 minus 1. What I'll do is the equal sign. We could do 2 minus 1 and hit the enter. But once again, I want to use the cells. So we're going to do the cells B2 and we're going to subtract the cell C2. And then I'm going to hit the enter button. And what do you know? 2 minus 1 is 1. Using similar examples as well, we're going to use the multiply option now. And here for the example, we're going to do 2 times 2. And then we'll do 4 divided by 2. So start out, let's do the 2 times 2. So once again, we're going to get the equal sign. And we're going to take the cell B3. And then we're going to multiply this. You can't enter X here like the multiplication sign. So instead, we're going to do this and we're going to enter the asterisk sign in there. And then we're going to multiply that cell by C3. You don't have to press enter, you could also enter the cell values, or you can just click with your mouse. Clicking with the mouse is easier, so why don't we do that? So I'm going to click, and that 2 times 2 is 4. And here, the same with division. I'm going to do 4, and then we're going to see how many times 2 goes into 4. The division sign on a computer is the /. So I'm going to enter the / and then we're going to click in the cell C4. And we're going to do B4 divided by C4. And what is 4 divided by 2? It's 2. 2 goes into 4 2 times. So add, subtract, multiply, divide. Those are all pretty straightforward. Now let's have a look at something a little more difficult. Let's say that I wanted to add all these values up. Now, once again, you can enter a formula where you say, okay, well, 1 plus 1 plus 2. It's going to take a long time. We have a lot of different cells, so we don't want to do that. I could also say, you know this, plus this, plus this, plus this. But that also is going to take a long time, and we don't want to do that. So that's where the sum formula comes in. It makes things a little bit easier for us, and what we can do here is we can enter the equal sign, and then we can type in sum. And then I'm going to do open parentheses. And then you'll hear it's giving you a little hint of what you need to do. So number 1, number 2. So here I could go in and I could say, you know, this one, and then it says insert a comma. So I could do that, but it's still not that good. So we're going to go to the equal sum and then open parentheses. And then I just highlight all these different numbers. So I'm just clicking with my mouse and I'm going to drag this down now. And then I'm going to close the parentheses at the end. I hit enter and that adds up all the different values. Super easy to do that. What I could also do is I could click on the formula sign and I could say sum. And if you want help writing the formula, so here too, you can see kind of how it's done. If you'd rather not deal with opening and shutting the parentheses, then that's a way that we can do it also. Some of the other formulas that I can use is also the minimum value, which is the min. But what I can do is just type in the min, and then we're going to open the parentheses. I'm going to highlight all the numbers that I want to have a look for the minimum value of, and then I'm going to close my parentheses. This is a formula that you might end up using quite a lot, and this also goes hand in hand with the max formula. Again, you've got the parentheses open, once you've typed in the max, and we're going to select these cells that we want. And at the end, we can close the parentheses, and we're going to get the max value. If we change any of our data within this as well, we can also see that this will change automatically for us. So if we now change this to 10, we're going to see that this automatically updates to 10 as well. Similar, if we were to change one of these values to 0, that's automatically going to say that the minimum value is also 0 too. We're now going to look at count. And what count does is you can basically count all the cells that have a number within them. What I'll do is I'll say let's count, and I want to know within this set of data how many numbers that I have. So I highlight all of those. I'm going to close the parentheses again, and I'm going to hit enter. So it says that there are 12 numbers. Now, there's also a formula called Counta. Counta is going to count all the cells that just have a value within them. So we'll go equals again, Counta. Let's highlight all these cells, and then I'll close the parentheses. So we can see that this has returned 12. But let's say that I type my name in here. So it's counting any cells that have a value. But the count formula is only counting cells with numbers. So that's why it didn't pick up my name, and here I could type in any other value. Let's say that I type in a city of where I live, and you can see that the count here is picking up that cell as well. We also have the average formula. So moving on down here, we want to know the average now of all these numbers. So we're going to change it up a little bit, and I'm going to type it in. And let's say that I want to know the average income. I just use the equals, type in the average, and then we can open parentheses. We select the cells that we want to do, and then close the parentheses. We also have a formula for median, so we can see within our salaries what the middlemost value is. So it'll take all of these values, and you can just line them up. And what's the value in the middle that we want to know? Here we're going to select all the values, and we're going to see what the median is. It looks like the median is at 27,500. One thing you're going to notice within the average is just the average across all the numbers. The median is the middlemost number of them values. So the median is always going to be lower than the average. The concatenate function then, and what can we do with this one? And we can see that here I've got my name, so we have Mark Andrews, and let's say that I wanted to concatenate them together. Concatenate basically means taking one and connecting it to another. So I could say concat, and I'll take this value, and then we're going to enter a comma. It's telling me to put a comma there between the values. And then I'm just going to close my parentheses, and there it is. It's filled in. Although I might want to add a space in there, I'm going to go and add a space in that cell there. You can concatenate as many values as you want. So here I could bring in that value, and that brought in the space that we wanted there. So that's a nice way of using the concatenate function. So what we can also say now is if, and what I can do is if, let's say this cell equals smile, then I want to do is put yay, and if it doesn't include that value of true and the value is false, then I'm going to say boo. And so here is smile, so it says yay. And let's say it says frown, then it says boo. So here you can see how you can include an if statement to basically say, you know, if a cell contains this particular thing, do this, or if it doesn't, then I want you to do this. I can also use the Countif. So this is kind of interesting, is this one. And with the Countif, what I could do is we can say if we have a 10 within it, then I want to count that cell. But if it doesn't have a 10 in it, then I don't want to count it. So we give it a range, and then we're going to give it a criteria of the things that we want it to count. The criteria is what I'm going to be looking for. And if I'm looking for a 10, we're going to see that we want this to be here. And it's telling me that within this range, there's only one cell that has a range of 10 in it. So it tells me that there's just one. Another useful one is the Vlookup. And these are getting more advanced as we go along. So we might have to slow down a little bit for this one. But the Vlookup is going to show you a quick example here. And it's going to give you a few different names. We're going to put down our favorite colors. And what we can do is with the Vlookup function, we could say is I want to look across these values and I want to return back this other column. So I could say that I want to look up Mark. So we can look up the value here And then we have the table array. That's just the table that I'm looking within, or the area of cells that I'm looking within. I'm going to do a comma, and then we can see that this is the table that we're looking at. So I'm going to highlight the table and I want to go and get the column back. It says the column index number. Well, this is basically the column of the value that you're wanting back. So I'm going to say, well, the second column. And then the last thing that I want to do is the exact or approximate match that I want to return. And what this means is if my name was Kevin or something close to that, then it will be an approximate match. But I want to do an exact match. So I'm just going to click onto that and say that I want it to be exact. And then we'll close the parentheses. And here we can see that it's returned that my favorite color is red. So it looks for the value here and then it returns the value here. So that's what we can do with Vlookup, and it's really interesting across big data sets if you need to return values quickly. The next one that we're going to look at is the Sumif, and what we can do is we've got multiple numbers. So what we can see now is that we have the Sumif function, and we're going to have a look at this because we can add up if the numbers are associated with the different people that we have here. And I only want to add up numbers when it's associated with Mark. What I could do is we'll do Sumif, and I want to look at this range and the criteria. So for the criteria, I want to look for Mark. And then this is my sum range that I'm looking at. And so what this does is it says, hey, you know what? We have 2 marks, and it adds them 2 up based on the criteria that we give it, so Mark. So here, if we go through it again, we have Sumif. I want to know the range, and we have the range here of the cells, the criteria that we have that's equal to Mark, and then we want to add up all of these different cells that have a value of Mark. And so then we can see here we only have 2. Super simple one to finish off with, and we're going to do current time. If I want to know the current time, we can just do the equals now and then open and close parentheses, and that's going to tell me the exact time today that we have, and it's going to be within your specific time zone as well. And this is going to show you when we created the video and when we're finishing the video. But that's just a very quick tutorial of how you can go through and enter different formulas and how you could use the formulas within Excel. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and a like. If you're looking to see more Excel videos like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you're looking for free Excel training, don't forget to go onto Udemy to find my free course on there that's going to go from Excel beginners and basics kind of through to intermediate for you. So if that's something that you're looking for, then please have a look at that. Thanks you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.